Welcome back to the Flaherty Solutions Podcast. My name is Kevin Flaherty and this is Erin Flaherty, and today we are talking about failures.
I have a failed business in the past.
I have a failed business in the past where I spent gobs and gobs of money, because isn't that what you do? You spend to make money?
That's what the saying goes. I don't know if that has to be true, but
I definitely followed that rule. And it was not a good idea. So today we're going to share with you all the different failures we've been through, what we learned from them.
not all of them, just a few.
Just a few, because it's still happening. But just to go over this information with you so you can pick up some tips and build from our foundation of failures into your foundation of failures. Because if you are not failing, you are not pushing yourself hard enough. So we want to make sure that you still learn from all your failures. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I thought we were going to do like a back and forth. Like, I'm like, I had a failed business. You had a failed business. And I was going to come back with, I got a divorce. And you were going to come back with something else. And I was going to say, our kids eat Lunchables on the daily.
They do eat Lunchables on the daily.
And I just ate a handful of cupcake flavored goldfish before this podcast.
That sounds like not failure.
Not failure.
Like a win. All right.
It feels like a win still.
Yeah.
So,
wow. I wasn't even thinking.
I was thinking we were like go back and forth.
I'm sorry, folks. I screwed that one up.
No, you didn't. You failed at our intro. But I think it's interesting that our culture and maybe the way we were raised, I think our generation is raising our kids to look at failure in a better light.
Yeah.
But when we were kids, it was like, get good grades, be perfect, be well behaved, and that was it. You were just supposed to do what you were supposed to be perfect
all the time.
And if you weren't, you were supposed to cover it up, right?
I remember that. Don't show weakness. Don't show failure.
Right. You weren't supposed to admit it.
Yeah.
But then you grow up and you learn, like with serving your customers, that you are supposed to admit it.
Yep.
And just instead of oh, we screwed up, and everybody's compulsion is to be like, I didn't screw that up, that department screwed it up. But instead, if we just take ownership for failure and look at it differently, like, we're human, stuff's gonna happen, I don't know.
No, you're right. Like, we definitely, I think we always look back at the way we were raised and the failures of how we were raised and the failures of how our parents were raised.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the books of the 50s, not that I was there, but just if you look back at history, like, little Jimmy helped little Sally with her math homework. Like, so there's a lot of correlating.
It's so loaded. Like, where are we going with that?
I'm just saying, like, when we were growing up, it was don't show weakness, don't show failures, like, always be perfect.
And when our parents were growing up, it was like, Jimmy has to help Sally with our math homework because girls can't do math. Okay.
That's where I was going with that.
I was wondering where you were going with that. And by the way, it's not lost on us that I'm in a bathrobe and Kevin's in like a bummy t-shirt, because we thought...
What t-shirt?
I just called it a bummy t-shirt.
Oh, bummy. I thought you said a bunny t-shirt.
A bunny t-shirt.
I was like...
That would be cute. A little weird.
I don't even know what that means.
You're not 2 months old, so it'd be weird. But it's not lost on us that we're basically in pajamas, because we thought, we've had a crazy day, and we normally record podcasts on Wednesday, but tomorrow's Wednesday, and we have a crazy day, where we don't even know where we would fit in a podcast. We might, though. It's one of those things where we'll be like, let's just record this next week. Yeah. But it is almost 9:30 on a Tuesday night. We've been going since 6 a.m., and we're in our PJs, because what better atmosphere to talk about failure than when we've had, a 18-hour day behind us. I can't do math right now, but...
That's all right. That's right. So when we were going back and forth on our failures, I was just trying to figure out, I was talking business failures. I always forget with this podcast. We are so multifaceted that we go all over the place. We talk about real life shit.
Well, humans run businesses.
Yeah.
I saw a quote, and I posted it on Facebook at some point. There is no business. There are just people.
See, I'm Zen, and I'm not buying that one.
What business
No,
is
I'm
without
joking.
people.
I'm joking.
And
I'm joking.
people fail
Yeah.
and make mistakes and are imperfect.
Yep.
So failure in personal life is absolutely correlated to failure in business.
I get that.
The same humans,
I get that.
you know.
Well, so I'm just sitting here stressing out because I feel like somehow or another I've already failed with recording the podcast for some reason.
We're not
The
starting
screen-
over.
We're not starting over, people. But the screen in front of me just looks totally different than it normally
So
does.
you're worried.
So hopefully they just updated the system, and I don't know that. But the voice patterns, so creating podcasts is super easy, but also super stressful because I'm not an audio expert. But on iTunes, though, it sounds like this microphone is on point. It sounds really good versus we need to get audio for the recording of the camera, aka iPhone 11, because for me, that Facebook stream sounds a little off. But you see, like, my lines are really big and your lines are really little.
But why is it? It's orange. That's what's different, right?
Yeah, that could just be something different. Anyway, let's talk about, what are we talking about? Business or personal failures
We're
first?
talking about both.
Okay, which one specifically do you want to dive in and share details with?
Business.
All right, so what did you fail at?
So interesting. My first business I started when I was 25, and it's a 1.0 version of this business where we did bookkeeping, but we also did administrative services. And it was a fail because it was my first time in business. I didn't know anything about anything. And so I had to rely on just my own instincts and also the advice from mentors and lawyers and financial advisors and people like that to do this. And so first of all, we used independent contractors, which apparently is a no-no when there's just a whole host of reasons.
Especially in the state of Maryland.
The state of Maryland's awful, but really a lot of people are using independent contractors when they should be hiring employees, when you're directing their work, things like that. But there were things I still stand by. They were contractors, but the state of Maryland disagreed.
Yeah.
Issued a big fine. And the biggest reason it failed, though, was not that. The biggest reason it failed, there weren't enough margins to keep the doors open. I sold services to businesses and then paid independent contractors less money than what I was charging, but it wasn't enough of a spread to actually run a business. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not the one doing the work, the contractors are, so I'll just charge a little, I'll make a little bit on the top. And you remember those days where I couldn't make payroll because businesses have expenses, and I wasn't factoring in the fact that I had to pay myself to run this thing. I just thought profit would be enough, and it wasn't. But what's interesting is I've always seen that as, I don't beat myself up, but I've always seen it as a failure because I decided when the state of Maryland issued a really large fine that they didn't really need. I mean, they didn't need my money. They went back and they sent me a fine for 4 years of independent contractors, like unemployment insurance. It was like $6,000. And we were at that point where we were either going to take off or we were going to crash. And I was like, the state of Maryland doesn't need my money, so I'm just going to close my doors and do this again another way. And that's what my company is now. But I mentioned this to a CPA the other day, and I said, oh, so something about a failed business, and I told him the story, and it was the first time someone said, he said, yeah, but you didn't give up. Yeah. And I actually felt like I did by closing the doors.
I remember.
I felt like I gave up because temporarily I did. I mean, it's kind of like a breakup or something you have to just take time and get over.
It was like watching a divorce happen. Like,
well, my company is a baby to me.
Yeah, it was just devastating because the state of Maryland just straight up came in and rubber stamped some BS rule, and it was like Erin couldn't operate. Like what she built, what she employed, like over 50 people at the time.
That was the problem. I didn't employ them. I 1099 them.
I would beg to differ because those people were getting paid extra money that they weren't getting, and they were able to work from home or work very remote. And the state of Maryland goes back to like 1950s quilting laws.
Quilting
laws, people.
It was because I was supplying the work and they weren't bringing in their own work, and I'm like, well, then they wouldn't need me if they were bringing their.
Yeah.
And it was whatever. I don't care. I'm over that. But I liked the silver lining that the CPA Art, who I know in Annapolis, I can't pronounce his last name, otherwise I'd say it.
Good job.
Art with Danena Lee CPA, and it's on LinkedIn.
Is that even a word?
Yeah, Danena and Lee.
Oh, Danena.
Danena Lee.
I thought you said Danena Lee.
And Art,
I've been watching.
on LinkedIn, he's Art Gorman, and his last name is something I can't pronounce. So look him up. He's awesome. And he said, came and visited me at my office in Annapolis, because we're neighbors now, he and I. And he said, but you didn't give up. And it was the first time I thought of it that way, or somebody else thought of it that way, that I'm still here, even though I took a little break and licked my wounds. Went to work for a little bit, realized how miserable it is to be employed for someone else.
Yes.
And then Tori, my best friend, said, oh no, you've got to make self-employment work. You just have to.
Yeah.
And she's right.
Well, now looking back on it, state of Maryland shutting you down isn't kind of like the best thing that could have happened to you.
Absolutely.
Like, it's weird. Like, I've never thought of it that way. But the state of Maryland has now, they shut you down, so you opened up 2.0. And you knew from day one of 2.0 that your margins had to be strong so that you could pay any unemployment tax. You could pay the overhead that the state of Maryland one day might come in and kick you right.
And we've never used contractors. In version 2, we pay the payroll taxes. Our margins are strong. I am not ashamed of that, because if I don't keep my margins strong enough, I don't have doors to keep open, and people don't have a place to work. Yeah. And they get to work from home. Yeah. And we don't have a paycheck. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not ashamed of my prices and my margins like I was because of that lesson.
Well, I think whenever someone's new in business, you're always failing at pricing your value. Mm-hmm. And so now you understand your value. Like, even with me, we just upped our fees on a certain situation because we value what we offer. And it used to be like, oh, well, that person is worth $20 million. We need to reduce the fees. And we started to do the math, and I said, that person is going to require us to do XYZ amount of work, and we're not getting paid anything for it. So we need to go at that person. We respect and value what we do. And I think anybody, no matter what your business is, self-employed or getting into a certain business where you're presenting a price, you always start off undervaluing. Like, they're never going to accept my price of $100, $200 an hour.
People also in business underestimate the amount of time it's going to take to actually have a decent income. So they're like, oh, I'll just charge this, and it's going to be amazing. And then the sales cycle is 3 months, and then you're spending money here, you're spending time there, and all of a sudden you're like, I just spent $20,000. Yep. And easily, and haven't made a dime. Yep. So
that's brutal.
Not that you know anything about that.
Oh, not that I know anything about that. So, we getting into that?
Would you like to?
Sure, I don't mind. Erin runs a service-based business, and I was hopping on 2013. Everybody was developing fitness apps. And as you can see with my slender form, this fitness app did not work, the one I developed.
You trained Navy SEALs, right? Wasn't that a joke at a party?
I do. Oh, no, I train. Yeah, that's right. One of our friends owns a Chick-fil-A, lives in the neighborhood, super nice guy. He's like crazy fit. And whenever we go to his house and we're meeting their group of friends, they're always like, well, how do you know Chris? And I was like, I'm his personal trainer. And they all look like, holy shit, really? Sorry. It's a borderline dad joke, and I love to tell it. Oh, so you're welcome.
I think you're cute.
So anyway, I had this bright idea, New Year's Eve. They always come to me on New Year's Eve. Been drinking.
I was going to say, how many
I've been drinking, and I decided, like, you know what would motivate me is if I had an app that I could send alerts to our friends instantly, And that would help say like, hey, fatty, get off the couch. And it literally one of the text messages would say that, hey, fatty, get off the... So anyway, developing an app costs thousands and thousands, tens and thousands
whatever
of dollars.
You think, well, maybe this was 2017 and 18, but whatever, wait, when was this?
13.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where did time go?
I know, right?
Whatever you thought at the time it cost to develop an app, multiply it by 10. And that's what quotes you were getting.
Yeah. But it was such a good idea. And Kevin Plank from Under Armour was spending $300 million on an app. And then the next week he spent another $400 million on another app. And he ended up spending $1 billion on apps in 1 year. So it was like, this is it. This is my lottery ticket. This is a great idea. All my friends and family, and we're going to talk about that later, about pitching ideas to friends and family. We love you, friends and family, but we would rather...
They won't be truthful, though.
They're not going to be truthful.
No.
And that's okay, because they're your friends.
And I'm the wife, and I can't be truthful.
Yeah. Ask your wife. If she says it's a bad idea, it's a bad idea.
But who was I? Because then there's also the case for you've got to ignore the naysayers.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying?
So it's a rock and a hard place. And that's why not all businesses make it. So anyway, for years, about 18 months, I pumped a ton of money into this. Like, we had it on iOS. Like, you go to the App Store, you could find it. We had it on Android. We were playing, I think I built a database of 10,000 users, which was exciting, but they weren't sticky users. They were not using it all the time. So what did I have to do? You got to innovate the app. Every month, there was a laundry list of, well, what if we added tracking? What if we added this?
And every feature was like goal, like
the
premium price.
Yeah, I was working with the developer, and they, you want to change the color? Well, there's $2,000. Like, boom, just like that.
Ridiculous.
And so after a ton of money, and I think that what took the wind out of our sails is their server went down. Like, WTF. That 10,000 database that we were just getting started, I think we were 10 months in, we had to start over. No names, no emails, nothing datable that we could later on sell to Under Armour, Nike, or anybody.
You even had like a celebrity deal going on with Marshawn Lynch.
I was talking to Marshawn Lynch's people, Beast Mode.
Because Marshawn Lynch doesn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, he was like...
And no knocking.
He had a team, and this was right after he had his Beast Mode go crazy.
Yes.
We were rebranding it to package it as Beast Mode. So then I had to get a pitch book for investors that showed all Beast Mode. I had a Fitness Against Friends pitch book that cost a couple $100. Now all of a sudden, Marshawn Lynch might be getting in on this deal. I got to make a new pitch book. There's another couple $100. So it just got crazy. I did meet. I talked to Jesus. It's been so long. I can't think.
Jesus?
No. While this process was going on, I was talking to Jesus, praying every night. But we talked to Marshawn Lynch's people. I can't think of his name. He's a LinkedIn friend of mine. But he's worth $40 million and he played for the Tennessee Titans as a linebacker. I was on conference calls with him, seeing if he would be an angel investor. So I did talk and have quite the experience, but was it worth spending tens of thousands of dollars to get this experience? No.
Would it have made a difference if the server had not crashed? Would it still be a failure, or would it be a success story?
Probably not. I don't think we had it. As much as when you're in the business and these are the hurdles, at the end of the day, we didn't have it that would have taken us to where everybody wanted to use it. There were downfalls of the app.
Here is my, it's not that bad, but it's my harshest critic of it. There was nothing that we couldn't text about. It was one of those things where, why wouldn't I just text you?
Yeah.
There was nothing that would make me want to tap the app and do that instead of, why wouldn't I just be get off the couch, Patty, and text?
Yeah, and that's what we were trying to, create a team atmosphere. You could train all summer. Anyway, when you create a business and it fails, because most of the time it is going to fail, but you do need to put
Most successful business owners have a failed business under their belt.
And once it fails, you are going to justify why it failed. It was too early. It wasn't ready.
The server went down.
The server went down.
Maryland shut me down.
People weren't ready. My idea was too smart for the general public. Like, you will convince yourself, because people come up to me still. This is 5 years later since we shut it down.
Oh my God. Yeah, I had no idea it was that long ago.
And I had a client prospecting meeting, a guy I met years ago, and he knew about the app. First thing he asked me, how's the app going? And I was like, what app? And then I was like, oh my God, you're right. I developed an app. I was CEO of a failed app. Go me. But you tell you, and the reality is we didn't have it as the app. But over the year and a half, once it failed, I used every, couldn't get an angel investor, couldn't get VC. It's amazing though. So are we going to segue into this family conversation because, like, family and friends? Oh yeah,
because
yeah, absolutely.
What was crazy is everyone told you it was a great idea.
Oh yeah, and that they would use it.
Here's the thing. From my perspective, it could have been wrong. I feel like your 4 coworkers at a certain branch told you it was a good idea. Like, you were like,
yeah, but we did surveys too.
Okay, you're right. Survey Monkey.
We did.
Right?
We launched Survey Monkey.
I forgot about that.
Over like 150
but
participants.
But I feel like your core group of bankers, when you were working at PNC, were like, oh, Kevin, that'd be awesome. And then as soon as you started to ask, not them, but just people like, hey, download my app, you said people would get super weird. Like you were asking for their social security number. Yeah. Like, you would just be like, download the app, and they'd be like, I'm good. Like, really suspicious.
So there was a police officer that rode a bike around Chestertown, Maryland, and I was like, oh wow, do you like track your miles? Do you do any of this stuff? I said, here's an app you could use. Download my app, and everybody in the unit.
And it was free.
Free app. Everybody in the police unit could keep motivating each other to stay trained. And he's like, you would think I'd ask for a social security number. Or he was like, I'm not, what, you want me to do what with my phone?
Or you wanted to like grab his butt or something.
Yeah, and I was like, geez Louise. Yeah, there's other choice words. But a lot, I've talked to a lot of business owners that are in the entrepreneurial stage, and once they get launched and running, and people see this with all their businesses, like Arbonne, what was that green healthy one? Melaleuca. Like, as soon as you start to put yourself out there, your friends will be guarded, and they will say like, whoa, what are you doing? And that's why a lot of our friends don't know about my YouTube channel, is because you're not my audience.
Right.
Like, I love you guys, but you're not my audience.
You want a genuine audience and not just people watching because it's Kevin.
Yeah, like, oh, let's put on Kevin's video. Right. Let's pity watch him. No, I want somebody that's searching, like, how do you cook this prime rib in a sous vide, that have a general interest and want to then follow me from that aspect. So that's why I didn't ask for opinions going forward on my business. And that takes us to another place. When you're asking for advice about businesses, avoid friends and family to start off with. You feel free to test the waters on them. You're normally only going to get positive, super positive, unrealistic feedback, or you're going to get your negative naysayer, negative Nelly, that has no clue about business, but she's poo-pooing your idea, or he's poo-pooing your idea.
Right. Consider the source. First of all, don't even ask somebody who doesn't have a successful business under their belt. Like, why are you even asking grandma when, sorry, but if grandma never ran a business, a successful business, why are you asking? And if someone's telling you, especially if you're a business owner and you're starting a business, it's such a labor of love, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears go into it. And if someone who has never even ventured out and has always been employed is giving you business advice,
Well, the worst is asking a family friend who is successful at a corporate job. If you're going off to be an entrepreneur, and then you go ask them questions because they hold some executive position at a corporate job, you're also fishing in the wrong pond.
Are you talking about someone who used to work at a phone company?
No.
Okay.
So literally everybody knows what Grubhub is now.
Yeah.
In 2005, I pitched Grubhub, which it wasn't called Grubhub. It was called Kevin's, like, delivering food, fast food to campus. And the way you'd promote it is you'd get Mothers Against Drunk Driving to help promote it across the country. Do you want college students at 2 o'clock in the morning getting in their car to pick up Taco Bell? Or could they order it right through, because everybody was starting to use the internet in 2005, through their laptop with their university card, and that person, delivery person, cabbie,
I didn't know this.
would run out. And so I went to a family friend that is made millions of dollars in mergers and acquisitions. He did mergers for Philip Morris, huge pharmaceuticals. He couldn't open up a laptop, but he would sit in boardrooms and make deals happen. I am pitching a technology idea to somebody that barely knows how to use technology, but I am supposed to respect him because he makes millions of dollars.
So he told you it wouldn't work.
He's like, oh, well, it won't work for this reason, and then, lo and behold, 2014 comes around, everybody starts ordering on
Who would have
Grubhub.
thought Uber would work? I mean, yes,
Exactly.
Uber has had a tragedy or two, but
Yeah.
who thought that would be a thing where you could get in a car with a stranger and get
Yeah.
somewhere? You know what I'm
I did
saying?
not pitch Uber
No, but
to that guy.
do you get what I'm saying? Same reason that you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this won't work because
Yeah.
of the payments and like all these third-party payment systems where you're thinking like PayPal, like, are you sure I'm going to
Yeah.
send my money into some
Yeah.
weird, like all this stuff that sounded strange.
Yeah.
Like Match.com at one point would have sounded super creepy. Like, what do you mean I'm going to meet somebody that I, go on a blind date?
Yeah.
That.
And then Tinder. Ooh.
Right. And Grindr.
Yeah.
So
What's on your phone?
So failure goes a lot with fear.
Yeah.
Because everybody's afraid of failure. And so people don't often do things that they're afraid to do because they're afraid of failure. When failure actually leads you to a better situation, whether it's, usually when people get divorced, it's a good thing. Like you congratulate them because
Yeah. What else are you supposed to say?
well, somebody told me, I forget who it was, no great marriage ever ended in divorce.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So all personal failures, business failures, they lead to better opportunities. And so if you just think, okay, what am I afraid of? And you put yourself on the other side of what could possibly happen if what I'm afraid of happens, what's the worst case?
Yeah.
And you walk yourself through that, and then you realize what you would do if that happens. If the absolute worst thing happens, okay, what am I going to do? Like, does it mean I'm not going to be with a house? Is it going to be, I won't eat?
Betting it
Will
all
the
on
kids
black,
be okay?
baby.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I heard I think it was Dave Hollis. It could have been someone else. It could have been Dave Hollis quoting somebody else. What you want. It could have been. What you want is on the other side of the thing you fear most. No?
No, it is. I don't know. I got to think about that one.
I want your response.
What you want is on the thing you fear, past the thing you fear the most.
What you want. The thing you want is basically you have to, how many uncomfortable conversations or phone calls have resulted in big deals for you? Like, did you want to pick up the phone?
Okay,
and call,
so
you know what I mean?
in the beginning, it is uncomfortable. Yes. But once, now I had
once it clicks.
3 uncomfortable calls a day, and it was so much fun. It was so enjoyable.
But that's because it's clicked.
Yeah. Okay.
But before it clicks, you're like, oh, I don't want to pick up the phone. Yeah, I don't really get afraid anymore either.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think about that one. But I guess you're right. Landing my biggest clients, there was definitely unease and butterflies in your stomach.
You weren't excited.
Yeah, and now,
But you knew
now it's game on.
Well, because once you're successful with those, you realize the stuff that just has to be done. It's not, you don't want to,
Yeah.
But you know what makes the difference between you picking up the phone and making that call versus just like goofing around on the internet. Like you could sit around and...
We can goof around on the internet?
But you get what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
You realize what's going to move the needle.
Yeah.
After you experience that and you're like, oh, I just have to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
See, it's hard for me to think about it in like, I am in my professional career, but I work for somebody else. So whenever I think about like failure, I think about entrepreneurship. Like those things go hand in hand for me. What I do now for a living to put food on the table, like that's just second nature to me. Did I have failures early on in my business? Absolutely.
Well,
but when we talk about this and when I hear that from Dave Hollis, I like equate that to an entrepreneur standpoint. I don't equate it to how I live my life now.
But I also think I just gave a good example, and that's in your career where you had to pick up the phone and make uncomfortable calls.
Yeah.
And some people are afraid of going 100% commission, which you've been for a long time. It's a risk, but
8 years now.
If you fear it, but what you want is...
What happened to the time? 8 years. Ugh.
I know. So,
but going 100% commission, for those that are thinking about it, make sure you have money saved up. But once you do, and if you're in the right situation, you are going to be so happy you did it.
Oh, and if you're going out on your own, I'm going to sound like a black cloud right now in my black bathrobe. If you're thinking about going out on your own, it's not going to be like 3 months until you're like making your employed salary. Like it might be like 18.
Or 3 years.
Yeah, or 3 or 5. Yeah, it's going to be rough. But
but I'd say when wrapping up failure, what I've learned, like now I'm justifying, we're back to justifying.
It happens, we're human.
Why I spent all that money. For my profession now, all those failures I had there, I know how to analyze a company where people are like, oh, Peloton, what's the writing?
Peloton?
Peloton, they're going public, should we buy it? Like I know how to read through BS because I had to pitch BS trying to get, Marshawn Lynch, Beast Mode, Drew Rosenhaus down in Miami. I flew down to Miami. I had to pitch, like the guy that took me around Miami is like, you need to like sell this, like unicorns are about to fly. That's how you pitch VCs and angel investors. So now for me, it wasn't education. It was the price of a college education, but it was an education. And the last thing I'll say is, I forgot it because you were going to go.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Did you think of it?
No, not yet.
Well, I was thinking now you're extremely sensitive to, is this thing going to make money?
That's what it is.
Is that your biggest failure is that it didn't make a dime?
Yeah.
Not one dime.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, we lost a lot of money, but we made a little bit.
Zero,
make anything.
Zero money.
So now when you're assessing any opportunity.
What I was trying to parallel back to. I have great ideas all the time. Driving down the road, I am brilliant. And this idea is going to make millions.
On 301, you are. Is it 301 or is it 50?
50, 301. It merges.
Okay.
It doesn't. It's all the same.
It's just far.
But even if I have brilliant ideas, like this is a cash cow, I still go back to, I'm not just going to create this idea. I also have to market it. I also have to create the product or create the service. I have to create processes. If I'm creating a service-based business, the laundry list is down the road, like down the street. That's how long it is. So I talk myself, and one day I will go and try to do something else again. It's just who I am. But I always, and this isn't fear, this is just what I've learned from failure. Do I want to work that hard for something that might not make it?
Well, and that's one of the best lessons that I learned at Rise Business, which I think I already knew this, but I didn't know how to put it into words. When you're a business, whether you're starting out or you are in business and you're doing well and you're thinking of offering like a new product or service, don't allow yourself to have a termination event. So whatever you decide to launch, make sure it's not going to put you out of business. So if you already have a business, like like bookkeeping, for example, if we decided to start marketing bookkeeping t-shirts, which we might actually do one day, like something like that, where, you know, with sayings and stuff like that. But if I was like, okay, I want to start this t-shirt business, if we had to like buy a bunch of product on consignment, we have to make sure that our investment in the t-shirt department, like if we sold not one t-shirt, is it going to put the current company at risk? You can't do anything that's going to put you out of business from the start. So so in your case, if you wanted to start something, you basically have to like go get a side hustle to like fund it, so that you're not dipping into our pot. You know what I mean? Like you're like, I'm gonna fund this, so it's just extra money if it doesn't.
Well, and that's the real reason I haven't started anything else, is because Erin's gonna watch every penny spent like a hawk.
I don't know if that's true. I'm definitely not gonna be as liberal as I was last time with it, but you know.
I think we were also shocked we could spend that type of money at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
Back to our conversation last week. We were in our tiny house.
We were in our tiny house. Stay in a tiny house for as long as possible. Save your money. It is the best thing you can do. And we'll probably be back to...
Save it. Don't spend it.
We'll probably be back to more... Well, I actually enjoyed the failure. I thought, I will be honest, it was easier to talk about than trying to talk about, like...
Successes.
Here's how to save money and, like... Yeah. But I'm getting over that. So be prepared for more people.
Well, we just need to change the way we look at failure. We're human. Yeah. No one's perfect. We need, we're just gonna... I want to just say this one more thing. Computer programs, I heard this from Tom Bilyeu with Impact Theory. Computer programs, when they try something and it doesn't work, it's just like, okay, let's try something else. And then they try something and it works, like they keep doing the same thing. So why are humans like...
We're always tweaking.
I'm a loser.
Yeah,
like if I fail, I'm a loser. It means something about me, not just like I'm human, I'm gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
Why can't it just be like I'm a machine, I'm gonna just try something else? So
yeah. Good
stuff.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments below if you're still listening, or email us at, what's your email for Flaherty? For the
podcast?
Yeah.
The Flaherty Solutions podcast, right?
Well, yeah. Email us there. God, it is.
What were you getting at?
The one for the franchise. I'm an idiot. Sorry.
I only have my
Flaherty Solutions podcast at gmail.com. Email us topics you'd like us to cover. We have gotten, like we said before, positive feedback on the, living debt free. We have a friend on Instagram and YouTube that is all about that lifestyle. So he loves to hear this and he's very encouraging. And we have some other friends on Facebook that want to hear more about raising kids and setting family budgets. We had a friend sit down with his wife after listening to this podcast. I hope that went well. And if you ever need a sounding board, feel free to reach out to us and we will coach when to help find solutions. Right?
Rock on.
Building wealth around what matters most to you. Everybody, have a great night. Thank you.